Hello, beautiful souls. Welcome back to the Infinite Cup Podcast. I am your host, Robert Breton. Now, get comfortable for this one. I got Jarrell for you today, an inspiring soul. Seriously, we talk about his spiritual awakening, how he got into astral projection. He's been making these fun videos on TikTok about connecting to your galactic family. You know, I'm talking about the Palladians, I'm talking about the Syrians, Andromeda, right? A lot of questions that, I get them every single day, and I want to help demystify this subject for you and help you get in tune with your spirit guides and your galactic family. So that's exactly what Jarrell and I talk about, and we give you a bunch of useful tips on how to do just that and so much more. Okay, first off, thank you. Seriously, my gratitude. I just have to say thank you for being here wherever you landed on this show, whether it was from YouTube or Spotify, Apple Music. Thank you so much for being here. Take 2 minutes of your time and just leave a review on Apple or on Spotify. Hit that like button, leave a comment. All of this really, brings more engagement and really gets more people to listen to the show, and we can create even more positivity and get more people on this path of spirituality. All right. Check out my shop too if you want to support the show, theinfinitecup.com. Right. There's a shop link there. Check out Sheilaji. Best amazing Ayurvedic supplement that is going to boost your overall energy and help you detox and really open the third eye too. I get so many questions about the third eye, and if you're not taking Sheilaji, I'm telling you, this is a game changer. Use the Infinite Cup for 10% off. Check out naturalsheilaji.com and make sure you use the link The Infinite Cup to save 10%. All right, without any further ado, here is Jarrell and I talking about how to connect to your galactic family, star seeds, and so much more. Let's do it.
How are you?
I'm doing good. How about yourself?
Busy. I'm kind of getting tired. It's almost time for a nap. I've been up so early.
Yeah. What time? It's your East Coast time, right?
Yeah, it's 1 p.m. over here. I've been up since 5.
Yeah, lots of shifting, lots of energy work going on right now, I bet.
Yeah. Feeling heavy.
Awesome. Yes. Well, thanks for, just taking the time to come on the show. Appreciate you, being here. I figured we just go right for it and just talk about how people can connect to, source. How, I'm sure you get those questions all the time, right? I know your feed is blowing up and people are, on this path of spiritual awakening and trying to get a little grasp for it. And I think you're doing a great job, brother. Just want to, first of all, compliment you on all the things that you're doing and just keep up the good work, man. It's great just to see people thriving, in this community. So, so just I think you are just a great person to help people, steer people in the right direction as far as, connecting to their galactic family and getting a little bit beyond this, human existence, right?
Yeah. Honestly, I don't know. I don't even know where to begin. I can just kind of speak on my journey and what brought me, starting out on my spiritual journey. I wasn't really concerned or really getting used to, finding like who my soul family was, like my star families, finding out I even was a star seed and like my life path number and all that. Like I just wanted to know like simply like how can I just like cleanse my mind and just relax and just like find like peace. Like that's all I saw. Like every spiritual person I ever saw was just so happy, so like just like free spirited, had no care in the world, and I was like, dang, like I want to live like that. Like they look like they're having fun over there. Like I gotta join that. And sooner and like the more I started diving in, I started working with spiritual teachers and shamans and learning and trying to get as much knowledge as I could. I'm like a sponge when it comes to this stuff. Like I love to know as much as I can. And throughout the source of times, I started learning about starseeds and how to connect with the divine and trying to take steps into, and I hate that a lot of people think that, like unblocking chakras and working with your chakras and stuff like that is just like the end to everything. And that's literally just the beginning because there's so much more than that. And figuring that out even with itself is just what's really, I would say would help connect you to the divine. And every little thing you do, like, I would really say would connect you more so in just taking baby steps. There's no rush. There's no like race to this. Like everybody's purpose is on their own. But I would just say really practice and start with meditating. Start getting in tune with yourself
Yeah.
first. That's where all the messages are gonna come in or from within. Like,
Yeah.
you just have to also remember that part of you is you are part of the divine,
Yeah.
and to connect with it is just easy. You just have to start with from within. So start meditating. Start to really realize who you are. Start to really dive in your subconscious and in your conscious, and try to unify the both.
Beautiful. Yeah, I completely agree with that. It's like these abilities and all this stuff is like our natural abilities, you know, and a lot of this, the work that I do that I talk about is just, deprogramming or unschooling. You know, it's really a matter of that. Like we are all born with these gifts of abundance and manifesting and getting in tune with your galactic family. And the way that I look at it, you kind of got to, unblock your chakras, right? You got to get rid of all that stuff that we were kind of programmed first. And then you kind of have that neutral slate for you to go from there.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. And especially me beginning out, wanting to, starting out with everybody does. They want to start with the law of attraction. They want to start with the fun stuff, unblocking their third eye and try to start to talk to their higher self. And I mean, that's cool and all, but it's way more deeper than all that. And really, I feel like once I started to also kind of, see results, while it's like starting to start my spiritual journey, I really started to realize, wow, like this kind of isn't like bullshit. Like there's kind of some truths behind like what I'm doing and what I'm learning. And not only that, I also started to kind of remember a lot of things that I kind of just shoved away or like blocked out of my mind. And it also kind of helped me deal with that whilst doing a lot of shadow work as well.
Yeah, me too. 100% completely relate with that. And it's I get a lot of those similar questions, and people I think get distracted in a lot of that stuff too, right? Just general materialism or just generally getting caught in the outside instead of really going within. I think a lot of people just want these shortcuts and these answers and how to really do it, but there's really no way around you doing that inner work and really connecting for yourself. So I think it's a very unique and very specific technique that each person kind of has to learn for themselves to develop and then go from there. Would that make sense to you?
Yeah, I totally agree.
Yeah. So let's see. So for someone that is just getting into this, they know they're on the spiritual path. They know that there's more to life out there and they want to connect. They're learning about meditation. What else would you kind of give them to kind of shove them in the right direction, just to give them a little bit more, clarity on their journey?
I get this a lot. I mean, I don't want to sound like at all like I'm some expert. I am
No.
fairly kind of new this. I'm like a few years into my own journey. I'm kind of just like,
It's beautiful. That's what's the beautiful part about it. It's because it's your experiences, right? So it's not so much, like I said, there's no one answer or there's no, recipe or solution that everyone can follow. We're all doing these, techniques. Even the word meditation, right, is very vague and broad in general. But I think a lot of people would benefit just from hearing your input because you're obviously tapped in and you're doing something and it's working for you. And people are obviously, hooked on that and they want those same effects in their life. So yeah, I know it works and I know it's powerful. It's just the way that I look at it. How can people kind of get themselves out of the way or the mind out of the way, right? To just allow their beautiful, inner light to shine.
yeah, like we were saying earlier, I would say one thing that really helped was to really start to get or to embrace the traits of yourself that aren't the most necessarily the beautiful stuff. I mean, growth. There's one thing I had one spiritual teacher tell me. It was just saying that kind of getting frustrated with me. We were kind of arguing, and he was saying, you're so focused on growth and you think that it's just like it's going just one arrow up and it's just going to be straight there and you're going to have everything that you want. He's like, no, like you really need to realize that growth isn't just beautiful. It's not just one straight shot. Growth is ugly. Growth hurts. It's depressing. It's lonely. It's beautiful. It's painful. It's like, it's a lot of things. It's so many things and you have to embrace all the sides of it. That's a big part of embracing and realizing what shadow work is, and also embracing your shadow self. Because if you can't really get control of that and you really just, let it almost overpower you, you really have no control and your whole being is just your shadow self, which makes you almost like a shadow person. And nobody wants to be a shadow person.
No.
Nobody wants to do that at all. It's just
No.
a negative, just immune chain, just walking around and just sucking energy out of everyone.
Yeah.
When you can really just realize that you have your own energy and it's bright, it's still there. You just need to feed it a little more energy, a little more cosmic energy, feed it more spiritually. And there's many tools to do that. And what really helped me, especially working through those times in my life, was journaling. Journaling really, if I could tell you how many like journals before we were even talking, I was journaling, just getting some thoughts out. I have them just stockpiled, like so many. And it really helped me, not only just like releasing normal thoughts, but tapping into my subconscious, like almost kind of meditative writing, just kind of just writing what comes to you, almost like, I know some people know about, Christians would call it speaking in tongues, but in the spiritual community, we call it almost light language. And it's also visual, and it's also oral, that you could speak it, but you can also write. And I kind of would just write things that just like came to mind. And even if it didn't matter, and towards reading it, I would realize it's like stuff like subconsciously like I'm trying to work on, or like it's bothering me. And it gave me that ability to, you know, attack it head on and really find aspects of my life of where I was focusing all of my energy in negative places, and really prioritize it in more positive things. All, like I said, it takes baby steps, like one day at a time. And the more you do it, the more it just becomes habit. And once it's habit, it's something you just naturally do. And then once it's naturally, it's basically who you are. Like you're just, I don't know, it's just baby steps.
It's good. No, that's good. That's a great way to look at it. No, I completely agree with you. And it is baby steps, because a lot of people, you know, listening and watching it, I get the same things. You know, they want these big, you know, visions and these quests and these huge downloads and these major transformations overnight. And that's really not really a good thing, you know, or a positive thing, right, to our life. And like you said, that shadow work is really important, and that's really what's going on. And you know, as much as we get caught in those visions and all that beautiful light and love kind of stuff, at the end of the day, you really need to do that shadow work in order to heal and to be able to have these abilities that, you know, we're talking about, is again our natural abilities. It's just we have to you know, mystify and get rid of all that gunk that's in our light body that's causing those energetic blockages. So I agree with you on that, and it's powerful work that we all have to address, that we all have to do, and it's just important that we need to talk about.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I feel like the more that we spread this kind of awareness, the more so we can kind of just like get out of that like normal kind of stereotype that like, oh, we're trying to just like, no, we're really trying to just like heal ourselves and heal each other. It just really spread awareness to everyone, to just kind of awaken to what's really going on, and to just really acknowledge that. Like, I really feel like it's really going to change. I'm really feeling a big change is coming soon.
Oh, it's happening right now, dude. Right now, right? Like, it doesn't matter what side of the wheel you're on, right? It's like environmental, political. It's all, you know. It doesn't matter. It's all coming full circle
Right now, in every aspect that you look at it. A lot of people are starting to pay attention to like what's going on, and really like take over the visors of just like this blindfold of like just being content and complacent, and realizing like, wow, the world really isn't like as pretty as it's like we thought it was. Like we're being lied to. And
you got to create that world, right? That's how I perceive it, right? It's like we're tired of what's happening, and now it's up to us to create that change, and that's what we're doing right now. And so let's dive into that, because we have to break those stereotypes. To me, you know, talking about aliens, Andromedans, you know, celestial beings as a whole, we got to break that stereotype as well, because that's really what's, you know, a lot of this is happening too with this Great Awakening. It's like this energy kind of behind the veil, right behind the scene, is coming through, and we're all kind of interpreting that, or channeling that, whatever word you want to use, to, you know, create that change that we want to see. Because right now the, you know, dominant forces at play that are creating the world as is, are being exposed, right? And now there's this new energy coming through that we're all interpreting, that is a very different energy, that I would say is a, you know, more pure, loving, unconditional, you know, fifth dimensional energy. And how can we kind of, you know, demystify that for people, and kind of get rid of those stereotypes of aliens and all that kind of Hollywood stuff, and bring it to something more practical, you know, into their life?
Jam-packed question.
I know.
I mean, really, I would just try to really just acknowledge like what's actual, like real, and kind of just like let people be more logical, and try to not assert ourselves like directly towards people, but kind of just approach people in a more like logical mindset, not a more so like anything is possible, you know, like that. I feel like that more is where that kind of thought process lies. And I feel
Okay.
like the more we kind of approach it in a more logical standpoint, to where it's easy for other people to understand, to where like it's like oh, I can see why it's like that.
Yeah.
I feel like that's an easier way that we can not only spread the message that that's going on, but at the same time help people understand why it's happening and what's actually going on. But on top of that, and saying that as well, I really feel like this new energy, that's the reason why a lot of people might be scared to even like wanting to embrace it and wanting to like accept something like that, is because, like you said, it's like it's a different energy. It's new, it's a nurturing, loving energy. And our world is like just this big petri dish of just negativity and just awful energy. We've just become accustomed to that our vibrations are used to it. So when something so high and pure is trying to come and just, you know, kind of fix that, it unsettles people. It's strange. It does feel uneasy. And because we're really just tainted to this negativity and we're used to it. And we're just kind of just become, like I said earlier, just complacent to it all. Well, whenever good change comes to it, almost like the Four of Cups, like we kind of don't want to embrace it. We're just like, no, what is that? Like, I'm good. Like, everything here is, we're fine with the Matrix. Like, we're fine with how it is now. With like, let's not change.
That's it. That's what I see, dude. It's like the old self just clinging on. You know, that's exactly what I see. A lot of the coaching, a lot of the work that I do, or even in the comment section, you know, on social media, it's like the old self just clinging on, getting triggered, and just so afraid of change. You know, that's what I see 9 times out of 10. And that's what this Great Awakening is all about, right? Those people that are facing those things, facing those traumas, those fears, and then confronting them and being like, okay, I've had enough, and then going for it, right? That's what's cool to see, right? We all kind of hit that wall. My favorite mantra for this is just let go, surrender, and repeat, because we're all in this together, right? And we all hit that wall at some point in our lives, whatever that is, that's really overwhelming us. And when you just let go and let that new energy come through you, it's amazing how much of an upgrade, you know, just that process is in itself.
Yeah, totally. And to even like kind of piggyback off of what you're saying, just I really feel like there's going to be like there's just this mass ego death that's going on. Everybody just kind of, you know, just realizing it. And the more that people are awakening, it's kind of beautiful just to see like how fast it's growing and how fast it's spreading. I didn't think the change would be this, like, you know, impactful. And so many people were curious, and like, and some people come to me, they're just like, I want to know about this, but like it's against my religion and blah blah blah. And I'm just like, and I want to just explain to everyone that I'm not trying to, or we're not, our goal isn't to just push you to like, we're not a cult. This isn't a cult.
No,
we're just more so just trying to open your mind to more, almost just provoke you to ask questions. That's also mainly of what I want to do, is just provoke people's mind to ask questions.
Exactly.
And I feel like asking questions really will get you to like the answers that you see, because the answers are right in front of us.
Yep, 100%. That's what this is all about. It's exactly what we have to do. You have to start asking those questions within yourself in order to awaken that energy that's always been there. The saying, you know, if you don't use it, you lose it. You know, that intuition is there. That connection to your galactic family is there. Your guides are talking to you, speaking to you 24/7. The codes are being transmitted. The question is, are you paying attention? You know, that's really what it comes down to. And I mean, I can confess, for most of my youth, you know, I was completely just not paying attention. And once this awakening really begins within yourself, you start picking up on that subtle energy, and before you know it, you're living a completely different reality, because you're tapped into those guides, you're tapped into your intuition, you're tapped into this loving energy that we're talking about. And it's not you know, this far-fetched woo-woo thing. It's like actually your normal, you know, reality now. and that's the shift that I'm talking about, that I've seen. I know you've seen it too, and a lot of people are asking about it. And so for those, I get those same questions too. Those people, you know, how can we address those people that are, you know, feel like they're held back from their religion, or they're held back from their parents, or they're held back from, you know, whatever thing that's keeping them from wanting this, you know, energy that we're talking about? What do they need to hear right now?
Well, I can kind of relate to that. I grew up very Christian. My mom we were almost every kind of Christian you could think of, like Baptist, Pentecostal. Like, we flipped the script every time. And I always kind of just felt like this weird pull into astronomy. Ever since like being in elementary school, I loved learning about the planets in the solar system and like the galaxy. I've always just called to it. And growing up and just like wanting to know more spiritual stuff, it was really frowned upon. So I kind of just had to like just kind of like sneak and do that kind of stuff and like not tell anyone. The things I would really recommend for people that are going through that are to really just don't give up, or don't lose that like flame or that energy that's like keeping you, or that spark, because that's like your spirit guides or your guardian angels trying to give you that push, push to like want to know, because they're trying to reach out to you and help you. They want to like, give you a message. And if you kind of just ignore that and listen to like, your reality, that's not your real reality, you're really succumbing to that, and you're really suppressing like what's really trying to really be there to help you. You're not going to find the help that you want that's really in front of you. You really need to find out from within and try to pay attention to those messages. And not only that, I would try to say, do it anyway. Like, what is there to lose? It's honestly 2020. What is there to lose at this point? I mean, the world's practically ending to me. But I mean, I'm just kidding. No, but
I know what you're saying. It's the old way. I look at it like the 3D is ending, and you can see that, right? It's really obvious. The old paradigm is ending. Things that are, like our parents and grandparents that were used to that world, that 9 to 5, brick and mortar world is gone. And a lot of people, like I said, are clinging to that uncomfortable old, past, and they're just clinging on to it right now. It's very deep programming, and they just are holding on for whatever it's worth. And then you have this younger generation bringing in the light, and you have other people that are just tapped in to the fifth dimensional energy, and they're bringing on the light, and we're all creating this new earth, and it's beautiful. At the same time, though, like we said, there's a lot of destruction, chaos, craziness, because that old stuff has to be brought to the surface before it can, we can all rise up to the next level together. And in my opinion, yes, this is very much going to happen on the individual level within your own, family and whatever your emotions are that are being brought to the surface. And then the collective level, like with this, big movement that we see, whether it's political or environmental, and the protesting, whatever you want to talk about, it's all kind of a part of this bigger great awakening.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
So what was that moment for you? I'm curious. So, Christian household, everything's strict, everything's tight. When was that moment for you when you're like, I've had enough, and I'm going to go meditate, or I'm going to go do this thing that, was different than the thing that you were doing before?
So I actually ended up moving away from home. I ended up joining the military when I was 17, graduated a year early. High school just really wasn't for me. I left my hometown to really just, spread my wings and just like kind of just explore, and joining the military kind of gave me that option, and boy, did I get to travel. And I'm a nomad at heart. I hate to be in one place at one time. I love to just spread my energy all over the globe. It just feels so amazing. And doing that, I really got to like dive in and find out like what it is, like who I am, first of all, as an individual, finding out my personality, learning my charts, what makes me the individual who I am, like who is Jarrell. And then really what got me into meditating and seeking like personal peace, I went through a really bad toxic relationship, and towards like the beginning of 2018, I really just kind of had this like weird dream, and I saw my life, just me and my future. I was about like 30 or 40 something, and I was just kind of just this man talking, kind of, how they give TED Talks to this big audience. And I remember I was just speaking to this big audience of people, and I was kind of influencing people on how to just like become better individuals and how to like make the world a better place. And I was like, wow, I kind of want to know that. And so I started to research that, and I started calling friends that were spiritual and kind of into things like that and getting help. And I don't know, it was kind of like the gateway from there. It honestly started with reading a few books and listening to, I don't know if you know who Osho is, but I started reading a few of his books, and getting into that, I was just obsessed, and I was just fully threw myself in. And It's just been something I can't stop. Like, I mean, like, in that time in life, like I was doing drugs, and I was really just like depressed and alone. But once I really got into my spiritual journey, like, no drug can really compete with that kind of knowledge, that kind of power, that kind of energy. And it's just,
Oh, I know exactly what you mean. And a lot of people are at that level because, this environment doesn't really produce spirituality, right? It's not condoning our spiritual life. So that's what's, we're all suffering on that level together, especially, in America. And like this Babylon, this concrete is just completely covered up our natural beauty of nature. And we just don't have that access to our spirituality. So you have to put in that work. And if you don't, put in that work, then yes, you're going to just get depressed and anxiety, and it's going to rule your life, and you're going to want drugs and alcohol, and it's the current socially accepted norm, right? And it's sad, but at the same time, that's what really creates that conduit for growth and people that will find that wall, like yourself. I had a very similar thing, graduated early, got out, traveled. For those of people watching and listening, like, you need to travel as early as you possibly can. That is way better than any college degree, way better than any thing that you can get with your intellect, because you're getting life experience. That's really the key word here, is experience. Like, I learned so much my first year out of high school than like the entire high school combined.
Say that was like my best year of my life, was the first year that I really got to just like really truly see like how
Yeah.
like the world really works, and how different, and how many different walks of life. And just knowing that while certain parts of my life were pretty crappy, but like God, someone else has had it worse in so many different ways that
Yeah.
are unimaginable that you can't think of.
Yeah.
And just knowing that there's this universal, that like what keeps everyone together is just this like intangible feeling of love and like a bond, and being able to like, create that with other souls and other people. It's
Yeah.
just beautiful to be able to connect with all other people around the world, and being able to do that really gives you a bigger understanding and a more appreciation for life itself, and why you're here, even to begin with, because it makes you more appreciative for where you've come and how blessed you were to even fall in a speckle of a chance to land where you were, like on this huge planet.
Yeah, it's awesome. That's what I like to call the cosmic view, right? You get out of your little problems and your worries and your miseries, and you can really see this amazing, just grand puzzle, cosmic puzzle just coming together. And once you analyze all these little pieces, it's just nothing less than a miracle to understand that power and that energy that's bringing all of that together. And it's just cool understanding how we're just that one little puzzle piece of this big, giant board of a puzzle, and that's all coming together. I'm curious for you now. What was the thing that sparked the more galactic side for you? Was it a meditation? Was it a particular thing, like with your Andromedan family, or with just any sort of galactic experience in your life? Because I know there's a lot of people that are curious about this stuff, and we have to kind of demystify it in a way that's not going to shock the intellect too much. You know what I mean? And like normalize this a little bit, because I know in the beginning for me, it very much shocked my ego and shocked my intellect to the point where you think you're crazy, and your whole reality just shifts, and you kind of get a new sense of what life is, because everything that you thought about life before that moment has just been shattered. So explain for people listening just that story for you, and then how they can kind of more rationalize this as far as bringing it and incorporating it into their life.
Okay, so for me, I'm still kind of going through that period you just talked about.
Okay.
Still like really new to like meeting this like side and like understanding it and still comprehending it. But
Yeah.
as for me, what even began starting it was one of the first few times I was learning astral projecting. And astral projecting for me started very young when I was a kid. And I just had no like idea that I was really doing it. It was just more so like a, wow, that was like a crazy dream, but like, was I dreaming, or was that like yesterday? It felt like a whole day would go by, and then I just like wake up again, and then like it's the next day again.
Mm-hmm.
But no, it was more so lately, the past few times, going into this like deep meditative trances, I would start to see things or see names, or when I would wake up from dreams, I would remember names of dreams. And I remember the first time, I was having like a really bad, intense, like lucid dream, or it wasn't bad, but it was just very intense.
Yeah, powerful. I know what you mean. Yeah.
Very powerful. And I kept seeing the name Seraphim. And I woke up that morning and I was like, what is seraphim? Seraphim. Like, what is that? And I was like, is that even English? Like, that's not even a word.
Mhm.
And I was like talking to my friend, and she's like also really spiritual. And she's just like, I don't know, maybe you should Google it. So I was like, I don't even know how I would spell this. So I'm like spelling it so many different ways. And then I see like Google, like the like suggestions come up, and I see like the way that it's spelled. And I was like, yeah, I think it's that. And then Lord and behold, it's a type of angel. And I was like, wow, so maybe is that kind of like an angel that's working with me?
Yeah.
And I started like trying to like remember that, stick out every time I would dream. I have a dream journal that like I try to record my thoughts and stuff, everything I remember, because that's usually how my subconscious works with me or tries to like talk to me. And I started more journaling, trying to get in more communications. And I really started going, I had this really bad dream. I felt like it was kind of like I was into this state of sleep paralysis. I was trying to almost astral project, but I really couldn't do it. I was just kind of stuck in my body. And I saw like these tall individuals, like, I mean, oh, well, it was really weird. They were really tall, almost like, so like they had to crouch down to be inside of my room. And they were really blue, tall blue people, like almost, I say like Avatar people. I even said that in one of my videos, but not like Avatar, just like how blue they were and how tall and skinny and like willowy they were. Almost like not human at all, but very stretched out. And it was really hard to comprehend what it was. And that's what was freaking me out, is because I couldn't comprehend what it was. I couldn't communicate. I couldn't talk to them. Whatever they were trying to say to me, it was like really distorted. I couldn't hear it. I couldn't understand it. And I started to look up pictures of what it was, and I started to find more information. I was asking one of my friends, and her name's Danya, and she's really into like intergalactic stuff and starseeds and galaxies. She's really dove into astrology. She was like, wow, you should learn about starseeds. And she was like telling me the different types, and then like telling me what their appearances and stuff was and how they're ancient alien races. And I was like, wow, well, this, like, the Andromedan's the one that you really like landed on when she was telling me about that one. I was like, that really sounds like pretty similar to what I saw. And she goes, well, that could be what it is. So I started looking up pictures or drawings what other people would see, and it was a close representation of what I saw towards the end of my bed. And I started to try to work with them, try to not more so kind of ground myself every time I would try to go in those dreams and kind of protect myself at the same time. And the more I tried to sooner work with them, I would start to get messages. I would start to get dreams of like going there, or being in that type of being, or being working with those types of beings, and seeing kind of like past life things of like what happens there and what it kind of looked like to be there, or getting like images of being in weird mystical like places that aren't like earthly, like just I can't explain it.
I know exactly what you're talking about. No,
fairly new to this, and
no, it's good. It's good. This is great. I'll help a little bit, because basically, we're talking about different dimensions. For people listening and watching, we're talking about traveling interdimensionally. Where again, we are cosmic, spiritual, light people. That's what we are, right? And we're having a human experience. So it's fun as you tell this story, because I can understand it through my I have more of a yogic background as a yoga teacher and meditation teacher, and with chakras and energy, and it's all there. We can get carried away and get very scientific with this. At the same time, like I said, it's fun, because all it is your intellect becoming more comfortable with these experiences and navigating them slowly. And it's really funny, because you can people can just imagine like this expansiveness of energy that's beyond our third dimension, and then trying to funnel all of that into this really rigid, small little box of a human body. You know what I mean? So like literally the words and everything that we're trying to do right now is very challenging because we're describing something that is very expansive and very much beyond our
comprehensible. Like, I can't even put into words what I saw, because I couldn't even comprehend what I was saying.
Exactly.
It defies so many levels of physics. It defies so many levels of nature, how we communicate, for one, and like how our biology is. It defies so many levels that I sound crazy. I sound like someone that's on drugs trying to explain this, but it was so much farther. And what made it different for me, especially when it being times of projecting, it was more so in times that I'm projecting, in times of lucid dreaming, they're very different
Yeah.
states of consciousness. Almost projecting, I can tell that I'm not dreaming. It doesn't
Yeah.
feel anything near like a dream.
Yeah.
It's like a different state of my mind being in almost awareness, or
Yeah.
not even my mind. It's more so I'm not even Jarrell anymore.
Yeah, it's what I call, it's the astral plane.
Your energy. Yeah.
Yeah, it's the astral plane. It's your astral body. So you have an astral body, right? Just like your physical body. The Jarrell in an astral form is different than the physical version. It's happened to me many times too. It's like in your first lucid dreaming, what really hit home for me is when I looked in a mirror and like I saw my actual body, right? The astral form of myself. You know, didn't have a beard, didn't have dreadlocks, and I like freaked out. You know, I literally like I woke up and I grabbed my beard and grabbed my hair, and I was like, whoa, like. Okay, and it all just clicked in that moment for me. And yes, you have an astral body, and when you leave, you know, through astral projection or lucid dreaming, this is very much a different, you know, body that's not physical, that's not tied to those dimensional laws that we have, like time and space and gravity and all that. That's why, again, it's very challenging to use these words and funnel it into our third dimensional perspective of life. And quantum physics is doing a pretty good job, but at the same time, I don't even think it's barely scratching the surface of what is really out there. And that's what, you know, human life is all about, this beauty, you know, that we can talk about, because not only have I had those experiences, and they're, you know, very similar, a lot of people have. So that's not only is it real, I think people just need to stop kind of how do I say it, intellectualizing things. You know what I mean? Like, you have to keep it mystical, keep that in your heart. Don't try to bring it up to the mind. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's one thing that really helped me in learning and through my guide was learning to just really go off of how things make me feel, and to try not to just process it. Because the more I tried to comprehend and think about it, that's all it would ever be, was just thoughts I would be thinking about. It would never manifest into a decision or a definite. But going off of feelings and how things would make me feel, the making decisions off of that, I would continue that same vibration. But if anything was off, that's when I would knew something needs to change. It's just really going off of how your soul feels. Your soul is so much powerful. Your light body really will reject energy and reject things from you if it doesn't want it around you. You just really have to tap in and listen to it.
Yeah, I agree. It's real, and that's the perspective. That's what the great awakening is. That's exactly how I would define it. That, you know, shift in perspective from the body to your soul. You know, that's what I would call self-realization, or just human life in general. That's what we're all doing right now, is going from that subconscious into the conscious, going from, you know, the consumer into the creator that we are born to be. Yeah. Awesome. So for people that are listening, we mentioned Andromeda, but just give them a quick little tidbit of any other, you know, just the basics for people listening that just are curious about anything to connect to their celestial family. Just maybe talk about Syrians or Palladians real quick, like the top 3 that people might be already tapped into that they don't even know about.
Okay, so I can go over like the most common. Those would be the top 3, I would say. So Pleiadian starseeds, we can start with them. These are very angelic light beings. They are very fairly new starseeds. They're honestly the youngest starseeds out of all of them. Their energy is very bright, so they tend to attract a lot of dark energy towards them. Not only that, they also are very tall, willowy people. They tend to have this kind of, not all starseeds can manifest. I do want to clarify that. You can be a Pleiadian starseed and carry all those characteristics and traits, but your like physical earthly body doesn't have to necessarily manifest as that. But most commonly, most times, they will manifest to what their starseed body actually kind of looks like. And they're genuinely like tall, winky, skinny people. They radiate a pure, loving light energy. They kind of also would get misrepresented as rainbow children. They just radiate this like pure, loving, fun, positivity, like joyful energy. They're also from the star Pleiades, obviously. And their whole purpose here is to awaken others and to spread joy and positive light here during the new age of awakening, for the new age of Aquarius, and moving into that and ushering that in. And I wouldn't confuse these people with Andromedans. Sometimes it does happen just because Andromedan people are made so more of light, and Pleiadian people just carry this bright light energy with them. They're not necessarily made of light. That's just necessarily the difference. But moving more so to Andromedans, these people, they're starseeds actually. They're from the galaxy of Andromeda. And we're mostly where Pleiades, Sirians, Lyrians used to live. And they're all in that galaxy in Andromeda. And these starseeds, they typically, how do I explain them? Just want to be like as accurate as possible.
No, you're doing great. You're doing a really good job. I agree with everything you're saying. I've made videos about it on my channel, and I just want to help, classify this for people, because I know people are having these experiences, and you can also be more than one too. You don't have to get so attached to one of them. You can open this up and use this again for information that is going to help you in your human, life. That's how I look at this. Like, it's a school, right? This is like an Earth school, and this is very much one lifetime as our human existence right here. And then we've had many, many lives. It's called samsara, the cycle of birth and death. And we've had lives as other celestial beings without form, no human body on these galaxies that you're talking about, whether it's Andromeda or Pleiades or Ceres. And this is just evolution, what I would call evolution of the soul, not the Darwinian evolution, but the evolution of the soul that we are all doing. And it's kind of like picking up wherever you left off, like your lineage. So if you have more bodies, more lifetimes as Palladians, then yes, you're going to have more of that Palladian intelligence in this human life. As soon as you, again, start, deprogramming and unschooling all of that stuff, and you start activating this energy within you, these things are going to come online. And I agree with you. The Andromedan is the oldest one. For you, as soon as I saw you on TikTok, I knew you were Andromedan. I have that, gift. I can see it in people. It's really obvious to me. And that was really obvious for you. And that's why I knew you were going to tap into these gifts even more so. And that's why I wanted to have you on the show and the whole bit, because a lot of people talk about this stuff and they're not really walking the walk. You know what I mean? Like, it's cool and it's fun to talk about, but at the same time, they're just kind of caught in the material side of it, and they're not using it for like real positivity, and spreading that. Real growth. Yeah, thank you. So that's why I resonated with you. That's just a little side note there. But anyways, you're doing a great job, and I agree with you. The other two that we don't have to get too much into, is Lyrians, and then what was I thinking of? Orion. So those are like the maybe 5 that people can kind of navigate towards, but usually it's the top 3. I see a lot of Palladian energy right now, and a lot of Lyrian in the kind of like the divine feminine coming through as well.
Yeah, I do want to that's one thing, when I said I wanted to clarify, just because there's a big mix up, because the traits are very similar between the starseeds. So you could think or be Andromeda and think, oh, I carry a lot of Pleiadian starseeds. No, those are just minor characteristics of Andromedan starseeds. But the big thing between the two is that Andromedans carry more, so they're very more heart-centered race. They work more through their heart chakra and spreading more love energy. Whereas Pleiadians do kind of do that necessarily, but that's not mainly their more focus. Their more focus is to just raise the vibrations of people, more so lift more positivity, to where we're just more so spreading love, teaching people, guiding people more so. We're not just not trying to talk down.
No.
So I'm saying, we're doing more than just spreading love and spreading more positivity and happiness, because both are needed. Both are very needed, as everything brings balance into the world. But Andromedans are also more prone to science. They kind of have a thing for that. They also were able to teach science to other starseeds, or different kinds of science. They also dabble with crystals, have a big fascination with them because they use them back in their home planet. I have so many crystals. You didn't even name them. I'm a haul to them. I'm a hoarder almost. They love to travel. They're also nomads. They love to spread their energy. They can't really be contained. I like that myself. I also grew up moving every few years of my life. I've been to 7 different schools. So moving is kind of just embedded in me. I'm kind of just used to it, and I love to do it. It's honestly a dream of mine. But they're also very just creative and logical people at the same time. And they're also very drawn to ancient civilizations and how they worked, because that is kind of also a guide of how our future might work, because history does repeat itself. That's not just a saying that we say for fun. But like you were saying with Orions and Lyrians, I kind of feel bad for people that are Lyrian starseeds, because they tend to struggle the most of finding their ancient galactic family, because it was mostly destroyed. And most of the Lyrian starseeds, when their planet was destroyed by the NAA, they had to move to other starseed families and other starseed planets. So some of them moved to Sirius, some of them moved to Pleiades, and lots of Lyrian starseeds now incarnated on Earth will flock to Pleiadian starseeds or Syrian starseeds, and kind of, I wouldn't say find themselves in most like toxic relationships, but Lyrians really tend to really indulge themselves into this realm, into this human experience, because they do know deep down that they can't go back. Like there's nowhere else after. Well, there is life after this, but like there's no like home to go back to, as some other star seeds will go back to their homes as well. So they really try to get the most of this life. So that's why they would kind of struggle and kind of shun away to this stuff, or just find like there's no really like home for them, or feel like they don't belong. And I really do feel bad for those star seeds as well. But everyone belongs to somewhere. Everyone has a true divine purpose here. You have a role here. And that's one message I do want to explain to everyone. Like, you do have a purpose here. You're not just here to be a moon chain and just to like fill in the like parts of the matrix to just like code and just like be someone's background. Like, no, you have a purpose here. Like, everyone has a divine job here to fulfill while they're alive.
I agree. And like I said, it's just more of, you got to get rid of that programming of what your parents thought you should be and what your partner wants you to be, and everything from society and the pressures and all that, and go within. That's the simple answer. We talked about meditation, so let's see, we talked about crystals. I completely agree with you with that. Any other tools that people can access, any other light tools, any other things that people can start doing right now as they're listening or watching this podcast, and they're like, okay, I'm gonna go get some crystals, I'm gonna start meditating. What else can they do to start anchoring into that subtle energy and start connecting?
Start listening to things that raise your vibration as well. A lot of the music that's like coming out nowadays, it's like really mainstream. It's not really fulfilling. It's not really like harboring anything good or positive. Try listening to things. And a few artists now are starting to incorporate like hertz frequencies and sound healing bowls in their music, and starting to like use chakra healing throughout their albums. Start to listen to things like that, because it really does raise your vibrations. It helps unblock anything. Using these along with like crystals as well, or other tools, kind of just amplifies your intentions already. Not only that, I would also try to recommend just try to learn something new every day. Just one thing new that's spiritual, and really try to like dive and like really learn it, and then just add that into like your toolbox, because you never know when like the day is gonna come when you're like, wow, the day I learned about retrogrades finally came in handy.
Yep.
You never know.
Yeah, I agree with that. There's one thing I want to just ask you, then help kind of clear this up for a lot of people. I know I get it a lot, and it's up to you if you want to answer or not. It's all good either way. I think a lot of people make the assumption that people need psychedelics in order to experience this altered state and or contact their galactic family. And I'll speak for myself first. I've done both, and I've had way more profound experiences through meditation, and as far as clarity and contacting and just having this spirituality that we would talk about. And that's kind of the just assumption that I think people have, again, is that you need psychedelics, or that it's all just a hallucination and it's not real. And I think it kind of gets under that umbrella. So how can we clear that up for people, that are listening and watching, that are into this, and they're just like, no, it was just some hallucination, or that kid's on drugs, or whatever. How can we get rid of that stigma and kind of bring more of a practical approach to this?
I want to just like you're saying, I totally agree with 100% with everything you're saying. I just want to start out by going off and just stating that your soul family and your starseed family, like, they're all watching you. They're all watching over you, kind of like your guardian angels. They're here to help you. They're like your team. You are here to help you, and they're here. You're just the chosen one that chose to come down here out of everyone, out of the whole group, to come live this life. They're just here to assist you. like kind of like your personal team, like kind of just like to root you on. And they've been watching you since birth. I've been seeing these blue people since I was a kid. I just didn't know what it was. I thought it was strange. I thought I was just seeing shit, or I was just having weird imaginary friends or seeing imaginary people. But they've always been there your entire life. It's just as you get older, you just have to kind of connect the dots and realize who they are, what this is, and what's really like truly going on. As for me, when it comes to using psychedelics and just like natural ways, I always had way more profound experiences. I don't know if it's just naturally like born psychic or having heightened psychic abilities, especially in my childhood. I had more contact, more communication with them through like I was saying, dreams, meditation, lucid dreaming, projecting, then more so times of psychedelics. Psychedelics for me, or I would say like on your spiritual journey, really help me, especially when I'm in a kind of a box or don't know, kind of just stuck or feeling stagnant. It really kind of just helps take my mind out of my conscious and kind of just observe everything that's going on from a different perspective, to let me see what's really going on and kind of see the bigger picture of why my life the way it is, kind of just alter my view from a different perspective. And I wouldn't say that this is something that you should do regularly. I'm saying maybe, I don't know, once, twice, a few times a year, kind of, which when just kind of depending on the person at the same time. I'm not saying to go and do LSD and mushrooms and all, like drink ayahuasca and all kinds of stuff, but I'm saying at least once in your life, yes, I really do believe that you should at least once try it. Or at least try the experience. I feel like everyone should not cheat themselves of having an experience like that, because it really will awaken you to so many different things, and really awakening you to really see what your reality really is. But at the same time, if you're trying to connect with interdimensional beings and that's your goal and your intent with that, I would say that's pretty much carrying the energy out into the universe for anything to grab. So that can be your intent, and you could end up having like a really bad trip or doing something different. And that's just like your subconscious kind of playing with you. I would really say to really, like we were saying earlier, put in the work. Like putting in the work and starting from the beginning is really going to get you those results, and meeting them and getting to really get in touch of who you are as like a star individual, as a multi-dimensional being. And that getting that in tune with that first is then going to attract them to you. You don't really have to go out to seek them. They're already there. Just let them come to you, call them to you. You don't have to take anything to do that.
Cool. Well said. I agree. This it's both points, and I just get that a lot. And I know it doesn't matter what social media outlet, it's just people get caught in that trap, and it's something I just want to bring up because, again, it's I've seen both sides, and it's real, and it's really fun at the same time. You have to bring something tangible and something positive and grow from it, right? And I think that's where the meditation side really helps, because even with the psychedelics or LSD or ayahuasca, I think a lot of people get these profound, expansive experiences, but they're not really able to integrate it and able to have that much of an effect in their life. At least that's what I've seen a lot. Not bashing it in any way, it's positive, and I think it's just our Western kind of mindset of getting this quick fix or this instant thing of like, okay, I'm just gonna go do this little ceremony and then I'm good for my life. At the end of the day, nothing can take away, like you said, that inner work and just achieving that aspiration as a whole. And I could not agree with you more. Those guides, those angels, the beings, whatever it is that you're trying to connect to, they're all around you right now, so you don't really need anything outside of yourself, period.
Yeah, and I really wish that our media would kind of just take that off of just people having these like crazy psychedelic trips and then attaching that or like stamping that as something into their spiritual journey, when really your spiritual journey is so different. And before doing, I can honestly say as myself, doing psychedelics before my spiritual journey and doing it now, like deep into it, is like a total different experience. You really have a total different experience. And you're not so much like expecting it out of the drug, you're more so expecting it from within to see what else is going to come within you this time. You're more so searching within than, like I said earlier, searching without. So I would say just really just keep working on yourself. It all starts within. I really want people to really just realize that.
Yeah, no, I agree. Well said. Well, awesome, brother. This has been great. How can we send people over to your TikTok and YouTube? Let's plug your channel, plug all the cool stuff that you're doing on the internet these days. I know you're busy and you're doing a lot of stuff and you got lots to look forward to. So how can we send some people your way?
You can follow me on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube. Everything's at hollow_hollis.
Perfect. Awesome. Thanks again, brother, for taking the time to be here. Look forward to having you back on the show. This has been great, and enjoy the rest of your day, man. Thank you again. Namaste.
All right. Thanks, man. Namaste.